Hi guys, welcome to another edition of We Are the Girls in Claret and Blue. I'm Ali and this is Reese. We're going to talk about the game against Tottenham last Sunday, as well as the upcoming game against Brighton, plus some movings and within the club, as well as some confirmations of some old favourites remaining. So, first thing we've got to talk about is the Tottenham game on Sunday. Go on, I'll let you go.
I think the game came down to the will to win. Personally, on Sunday, I think on the pitch we were even. I think over the course of a season and putting both sides together, I personally feel like we're a better team than Tottenham. But for some reason, when we play them, it seems to be quite a level playing field. Um, I thought the first half, you could tell that we have been on quite an extended break. We looked quite rusty. I thought. I think there was a lot of loose balls going through the midfield. We switched to a back four. I personally prefer us in a back five, but I think that was a tactical decision. And I said to you on Twitter earlier today, I personally think Tottenham beat us at our own game, which is the high press through the midfield and onto the attackers.
Yeah, I was at the game, and I don't think we played as badly as it's coming across. I don't. I think we were very tactical. We weren't very good at passing. Our passing, like, was not great. It wasn't very accurate. Also, we are unable to see space. We were very obsessed with playing the game through the middle of the pitch, which Tottenham worked out pretty quickly. We would have players on our wings that had acres of space, and we were doing absolutely nothing. Think like there was one point where, as the guys I was sat with Vetterlane, she could have been doing her taxes and walked in a goal with the amount of space she had because nobody was around her because Tottenham worked out we were playing through the middle, and that's how they stole the ball a lot. That's how we let possession go very easily, and that's how their two goals came about, was because we were insistent on playing through the middle.
I think as well from what I remember of our loose passes throughout the game, I think most of them actually come through the position where our right wing back or left wing back would be in a back five.
Yeah.
I think originally this season we did lack a lot of width, and then we started to play a back five, and then we really did express that fact of playing down the wing. So, however, I think Boonach was not in the squad, so
Yep.
I think she's picked up a knock, or maybe is still ill.
Yeah.
And I think we missed her a lot on Sunday. However, I don't think we played, like you said, that badly.
Yeah.
I think when the 10 minutes we started to play to our potential that we've played throughout the season, we scored, and I think that told us a lot about the game. However, I think we could also say if we took a few chances, we could have won the game. So it was just an unlucky day at the office, I think.
It was one that hurt. I'm not gonna lie. And it always hurts me more when we lose to Tottenham. It does. Anybody who's watched the show before knows how much it hurts me when we lose to Tottenham. But this one hurt even more, particularly because of the dying seconds of it, and the fact that we thought we'd pulled back. It's a bit like us against Sheffield the Friday before, in the fact that we thought we'd managed to get the equaliser and then they punched us in the gut. Really, it was a hard game to lose. There are some positives. I think our new signing, Grace, is fantastic. We're all worried about the hole that Brooke was going to leave, but I think we've got a great player in Grace. I think she's going to need a little bit of shaping to get up to WSL standards, but I have every confidence that Beardy's going to do that, and I have every confidence that Grace is going to thrive at us because she's going to learn a lot with Gilly. She's going to learn a lot from Kate and all of those like experienced players we've got in the squad, but she is fantastic. She goes for it. She's not afraid to get up there. She was getting very feisty with some of the Tottenham players, and I was like, it's good to see that we've got quite a good replacement for Brooke, and I think with a little bit of tweaking, she'll be right up there.
I think Grace was, for me, our best player on the pitch on Sunday.
Definitely.
Tackling through defence on one situation was fantastic. I think the only time she wasn't there on that one-on-one situation, they scored.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. And one thing that really impressed me with Grace is she really does play well with her feet. She passes the ball well, but she also receives it with her first touch very well. I think we've got a player on our hands.
Yeah, she was absolutely like faultless. She was so good against them, and she was like going to the players, like you said about our high press. She wasn't waiting for the Tottenham players to come at her. She was like, right, I want this ball and I'm going to get it. And she saved our bacon quite a few times. It was quite funny because we kept talking about, there's a group of us all sat together about Jilly taking one for the team. And then she kept doing some dodgy things. We're like, Jilly, you can stop doing it now. You can stop taking one for the team. You've done enough.
Yeah, Jilly as well on Sunday. I thought she was actually, I think both our centre backs. I think Grace maybe just picked Jilly for me as the best player on the pitch, just because it was the first time we saw Grace. But you know what you're going to get with Jilly. She's always fantastic in defence. Tackling was brilliant, and the commitment and the leadership as well.
Absolutely.
Really not only helps Grace, but it helps the whole team on Sunday.
Yep, there is a reason she is our captain. Let's not beat around the bush. With Jilly is absolutely phenomenal, and she really showed it against the Tottenham side. And you can tell that loss hurt her, like with her demeanour off the pitch when the final whistle went, as well as like some stuff she said afterwards. You can tell that one stung.
You know what, as well, as soon as that whistle went, I think the fact that some of our players were lying on the floor with disappointment actually shows to us fans that they do care and their performances always back it up. But for me now, I think if we can replicate more of these performances, but obviously to a higher standard, I think we're going to be looking at the top half of the table.
Absolutely. Speaking of players lying on the floor, it was a rather it's quite a vicious game on Sunday. There was a lot of, if you watch our hear our fans, we were all a bit like, like it was very, very rough. It's probably the only word I can think of. Both our goalkeepers took a bit of a knock. Becky Spence had to be subbed off at half time due to a kick in the face. I'll give you 5 guesses who that was. We love her, really, we really do. But there's a brilliant picture I think Avit took, and if you can find it, it's on his Twitter, which is Becky Spence on the floor and Kate being like, yeah, and she wasn't. She was
I've seen that
about her ex-teammate, but it's just the moment Avit got. But then, of course, Kate herself was taken out by one of the Tottenham players, and it was looking very scary for a long time that she was out cold. They had to bring on the oxygen, and of course she instantly got subbed off, which was then hilarious because she sort of perked up like 5 minutes later, and you can tell that she was not happy about not playing. She's just sat on the bench just like, I want to be out there.
Sir Trevor Brooking was watching the matches as well on Sunday.
He was behind the bench. It's good to see some West Ham legends getting down and watching. He's been at Rush Green a few times as well. He really does seem to get behind our girls, which is something nice. But so what do you think about that sort of roughness when it comes to things? Do you think it was because it was West Ham Tottenham and there's that rivalry from the men's game being brought over? Or do you just think that's how they felt what they needed to play against each other?
I think it was obviously because it was West Ham Tottenham, but not only that, I think it was because the first 2 games we've played this season, they've been such tight battles, and both teams do see each other as serious contenders in terms of positions in the league this season. And I think that's what this roughness came down to. However, I did like it. I think it showed both teams cared, and it's a derby, so why not?
I have to say, we did notice that there were some more men's team fans had come down from Tottenham, not so much West Ham. There was a good handful of us. And definitely when that second goal came in, there was definitely some behaviour, which in the women's game you're not used to. All the gesturing and stuff like that. It started off good-natured, and then it started to get a bit antsy, as pretty much Tottenham West Ham do.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was watching on like the FA player, and I think it was Cavani, and I can't remember what Tottenham player it was, and I heard someone scream, "Go on, hit her one." I was thinking, well, I don't normally hear that.
Yeah, well, that was it. Like, you saw the gesturing and stuff like that. When we got when they got their second goal, it was lots of like gesturing over at us, because we had been shouting all game as per usual, which was quite hilarious. I did actually lose my voice. My voice has just about come back, but Monday.
I thought you were going to lose your temper then.
I did that too. Thank goodness I had the calming effect. That was my girlfriend, who was like, "It's just football. Let it go."
I said no such thing.
You were calming me.
I would never say it's just football.
So I'm getting yelled at. This is why I should never do this with her present. But yeah, it was definitely a rough game. But again, and I'm going to clarify what I'm about to say, in the fact that I would still say this even if we drew or won. But once again, the reffing standard was horrendous. It was absolutely appalling.
Yeah, I agree, Ali. I've had a rant on this show 2 or 3 times already this season about the refereeing standards. Everyone knows my thoughts on it. However, I do believe maybe next season, however I did believe it last year as well, that maybe the FA will finally do something.
Yeah, because there was just some moments where you were just like there was a Tottenham handball that was right in front of her. She didn't do anything. We got a player taken down, and instead of letting us have advantage, because we'd managed to get it out to the wing and was running forward towards the goal, she blew the whistle for a free kick. And it's like, no, you play advantage and then thing. And then the linesmen weren't much better either. Poor Leon took an absolute battering from some Tottenham players. They wanted to take her out, and again did it straight in front of the linesman. The linesman was like, "Yeah, it's a throw in."
You know what? As well, I think with the referees as well, especially within these West Ham Tottenham games, I think sometimes they just let so much go because it's a derby and they let that get to their head too much.
That's very possible too. But like you said, it's sad state of affairs. I would say that even if we'd won or got something out of that game, but the reffing standard needs to improve. Because I did 2 games this weekend, and the one in the Manchester City Everton one was better than the one that the Tottenham West Ham one had, but still wasn't great. So it's something that needs to be improved upon if we're going to take the WSL to even higher levels.
No, go on, Ali.
No, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, throughout the season, I've said this to you personally as well, Ali. Some of the female referees we've had, like while I've been with the team I work for, in men's football this year, have been absolutely superb. So that there is the standard that needs to be set there. It's just a fact of maybe assessors going to look at this and then communicating with the women's side of the FA, saying this referee is consistently really good. You should have her as a full-time referee in the FAWSL. I think that's where the conversation needs to start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Something's got to be done, because there's only so many times we can complain and managers can complain and all sorts. One thing I do not want is VAR. That is one thing that will not improve this.
Well, a funny story about Friday night. Obviously it was one of like the birthday game before my 18th, and I was just sitting there and we scored, so I just chucked my drink all up. I just completely forgot where I was, on the floor, mum shouting at me, and of course VAR comes up. Absolutely gutting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's but that's having been to the Women's World Cup, that is not something we want in the game.
I think as well though, with this VAR debate, I don't think VAR is the problem. I think the way they're using it and the rules they're using with it just don't make any sense.
No, absolutely. Until they work that out, then that's the best thing we can do. Right, so moving forward, we have Brighton this weekend at home. Brighton, we have mixed fortunes against. We beat them at home last season, but then we got an absolute drubbing the last game of the season last year. We beat them comfortably this year 3-1, and they are currently playing Man United in the quarterfinals of the Conti Cup. So I'm hoping that means they're going to be knackered for Sunday. But what do you think our chances are against Brighton?
I think we're going to beat them, obviously. But with this game, it's a bit like the Tottenham game where Brighton seem to be a really good battling side. They grind out a lot of results at home. And it's one of them teams you don't want to go 1-0 down against because they will grind out a result. Last season at home, I think the one player that caused us a lot of problems was Umatong. I think I said last week I'd love to see her in our squad. But Hope Powell's a very good tactical manager as well. So it's going to be a challenge on the pitch as well as off the pitch in terms of tactically. But I think we've got both managers are two of the best in the league personally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think that it's going to be an easy game. They have some cracking players amongst them. However, they have suffered injuries. Both Laura Rafferty's been out since the beginning of the season, and of course Ellie Brazil did her ACL in at the end of last year. So they are going to be laden with injuries. Like I said, I'm hoping that they've got a midweek game, so they'll be slightly knackered with the quick turnaround with us. But I do think we've got a good shot. We played really well against them away from home, and it was some of the best I've seen us play. Also, we've got more players to choose from this time around. We actually have a full subs bench, which we haven't had for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully that's going to go in our favour. I'd like to see our other new player get a start, as well as, or at least come on from the bench. Also, I'd like to see what Little John can do. Like, we signed her very quickly back in October, I believe it was, or November, and we've still not really heard much from her since. So it'd be quite nice to see what she can do, because she's got a wealth of experience that she can bring to our team.
I'd quite like to see us revert back to the back five. I'm a massive fan of us with that back five. I think it's our best formation. Hopefully, Boonach will be back, because I think she's one of our key players.
Absolutely.
But I'd also like to see Philippa Wallen start. I would like to see how she would play, maybe in a left wing back role. But I think what we did really well in the away game was that high press. I think that's what got us most of our success against them. And yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this game, because we're going to need now a result, losing to Tottenham, just to get our momentum back. But it will be interesting to see what formation we choose to play as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, dream team, who would you have up against? I'm assuming you'd have Courtney in goal.
Yeah, I think
just an idea I had.
Don't know how you guessed that, Ali. Oh yeah, Brosnan in goal. Vetterline, Flaherty, and Grace. Right wing back, I would have Boonach if fit. If not, Kavami. Left wing back, I'd have Wallen, Darley, Cho, and I'd probably start Simic as a number 10.
Yes.
With I think I would actually try Lehman in that centre forward role. I think she does.
Controversial.
I think she do quite well there. I think on Sunday she struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
Out on the wing, with Thomas up front.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite a good squad. I have to say, speaking of the game last Sunday, I thought Simic made a fantastic comeback. She actually was quite pivotal, and she was quite pivotal in our goal, and she never actually stopped chasing the ball and was showing Julia of old, which was quite a nice thing to see.
She's very good at like two-touch football as well. She always touches and then releases the pass really early. And I think with Thomas as well, you started to see the link-up play, and that is why I would start Julia against Brighton in that number 10 role.
So here's a query for you, Reese. We've got Brighton coming up in the league, and then straight after we've got Arsenal in the FA Cup. Would you go strong against Brighton, which could risk injury, or would you second string Brighton, preparing for the Arsenal game the following week?
Oh, that. I would probably go strong against Brighton, because we have to prioritise the league, and I think we had a good cup run last year.
Yep.
So I think this year, for me personally, the priority is to try and get as high up in the league
as possible.
However, I think Matt will go strong against both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have no doubt that Matt Beard will go strong against both. It's just, do we second keeper and things like that. Though I don't think we really have a second keeper. No, they're both as good.
Yeah, I agree. They're both as good, but I think this year maybe not a second choice keeper, but we do have that role of whatever keeper is best suited to that game tactically. We play, and that's what I like with what Matt does with that.
Yeah, no, that's actually one advantage that we have, is that we don't have a second keeper. We've got two goalkeepers that are suited to different teams that we can pull out when needed, which is quite nice.
Yeah, because I think against Reading, I think it was, Anna started.
Yeah.
And against Tottenham in the cup game, and that was at the time the way Matt played. Against Tottenham, Anna played that really good long pass into Thomas, and that really worked well tactically. However, against Manchester United, the reflexes of Courtney was more suited tactically to our game then.
Absolutely. So now we must move on to the comings and goings at Rush Green. We've had quite a quiet transfer season. We've done 2 players in January, which we did last season. Obviously, we've lost Brooke over stateside. But one great piece of news that's come out of Rush Green only this afternoon is that Mrs. West Ham herself, Kate Longhurst, has signed a 2-year extension with the club, which I think we are all grateful for.
I don't know if I mentioned it when we were speaking about January just before Christmas, but this is what I would wanted to see more in terms of contract extensions than new signings. I think this is really important. A 2-year deal shows a long time plan as well for the team, and not only that, it also shows belief in Matt that his players, as well as West Ham's players, are getting these contract extensions. And I would actually quite like to see Matt get another contract extension as well.
No, absolutely. But it's great because Kate has come out and said that she would like to end her career at West Ham. So I don't think that career for a while yet. But it would be nice for her to, because I reckon if Gilly retires before she does, she will be the new West Ham captain.
I was just about to say that.
Great minds think alike, but it's true. I think we saw it at Reading away. She's got the ability to be the captain. And I think if Gilly retires before her, then because that's the only way I think you're going to get Gilly out of West Ham is if she decides to hang up her boots completely, a bit like Raf.
Kate as well. This contract extension's so important because Kate is such a vital player
Absolutely.
to our team. When she starts, she's always giving 100% commitment at every game. After the Reading game, you saw that passion. After the game, when me, you, and the people we hang around with spoke to her.
Yeah.
But not only that, she's going to be really important for the players coming through because she'll be able to address to them and new players coming in what this club means to the fans and what it means to be a supporter of this club and what we expect.
Absolutely. She is truly going to show them what the West Ham way is, which basically, I mean, we have many variations of what the West Ham way is, but for me, it's all about giving your absolute all on the pitch. West Ham don't expect us to win, cups, trophies, leagues. That's just not what we do. I don't think we'd know what to do if we became that successful. But all we ever ask for is 100% effort, which the girls seem to be good at, the lads not so much.
Yeah, let's not start on the men's team. We'll start having quite a big rant.
So I do have to say, Reese, my mother's got a bone to pick with you because you went on a bit of a rant about Mark Noble. And Mark Noble is one of my mum's favourite players. And I saw her on Saturday and she went, "You tell your friend that Mark Noble is never what he called him and I'll be having words next time I'm at Rushden." So if you ever see an angry ginger cockney coming running at you, that would be my mother who's going to go for you.
I can't remember what I said now. I think it was that. Was it that he was useless against...
Yeah, you said he was useless and he was terrible and you used a different word than terrible, which we won't say on the podcast.
I literally can't remember what I've said now. I'm going to have to go and check that.
Yeah, you're going to check that. But yes, my mother was not impressed. But yeah, we won't move on to the men's team, so that's good. However, one of your transfer targets, Reese, has announced her retirement, so it doesn't look like we're going to be getting any Aluko this season.
Well, I was starting to guess that will be the case due to her not being signed up early in the January transfer window. However, Amy's had a great career, and I think she's going to have a great career, maybe whatever route she takes, punditry. She's been on before. She's been brilliant when she's been doing that. However, I think she would be a great manager if she decides to go down that route.
Absolutely. And also, let's not forget what her side career, as it has been, is the fact that she's a fully qualified lawyer. So she could also go out of football completely and specialise in that. I also believe she was like an entertainment lawyer, so she might become like a sports agent and work that way.
Have you heard, just out of interest, anything on how Lucy and Wright starts doing on her new role?
She looks like she's doing all right. Like, just from bits and pieces I picked up from Twitter and Instagram, looks like it was the right choice, it seems, as much as we miss her.
Yeah, because Lucian was a great leader last season, and she would have probably been a pivotal role in the team this year.
Absolutely. So finally, we've got just a few minutes to talk about our spotlight player of the day. Do you have one, Reese, or are you still trying to remember who we've done?
I can't remember who we've done. Maybe you pick one this week, Ali.
That's the thing. I can't remember who we've done either. We've done so many of them. We talked about Julia.
No, I don't think so.
We'll talk about Julia then. Julia is absolutely fantastic for us, both on and off the field, it seems. Obviously, she's been out for a long time with her knee injury, but you will always see her at the games. You will always see her at, down with the youth team, giving them advice. I know that one of the organisations I'm a member of, the Pride of Irons, played a charity match against the Gay Gooners. Great name. And she came down and gave the pep talk for that game. She's very community oriented, is Julia, and then of course she's got the skills to back it up.
Yeah, Julia's great on the pitch. Like I said earlier in the show, she's great at two-touch football. First touch, brilliant, and she always picks out a great pass in such pivotal moments of a game. She also works hard throughout the game, 100% effort all the time. Off the pitch, I think every player regards Julia as one of their best mates. But not only that, she's a great ambassador for the club, and somebody in the long term I'd like to see. Maybe when Julia hangs up her boots, hopefully she'll still be at West Ham, and I'd like to see her a role in the club, maybe as an ambassador of our women's team,
or maybe coaching our young uns, because she's very good at coaching the youth with her soccer schools and things like that. So that would be great to see if we can keep her at West Ham, building on our youth team. Before we go, we have a question from one of our viewers who wants to know, what are our views on changing our badge to an old one we used to have with actual history to it, such as the sky blue one with the crossed claret hammers like we had in the 60s. As the last two badges, they have been claret and yellow, or the new one which represents the board.
I quite like our current one. However, I think if we was going to do anything with the badge, I would actually like to see the bowling castles back on our badge, because a badge is a symbol of what represents our club. And for any like me, I was 7 when I used to go to the bowling ground, and them castles are something that always reminded me of what my club represents. And I think that would also show our history at the bowling, which I think the board have seemed to have forgot. Just
a little bit. Pete says, as a Man City fan, he quite liked that logo too. To be fair, I really like that one because that was the West Ham of my youth, and that's the one I've got inked on my arm for time immemorial. I do quite like the old one from the 60s. I think if we're going to stick to just plain crossed hammers, maybe we should go for them. I don't like the fact we've been rebranded West Ham London. You know, like I said, it's all the board. There is many opinions about the board. I will refrain from saying mine, but I do believe that they gotta go.
You know what? I really wouldn't be surprised if say, just for example, they say we're going to have a new badge. I wouldn't be surprised, instead of a bowling castle, the bowling castles, they'd put, you know, the massive like ring thing on top of the London Stadium, and then that would really wind me up. So you have to be really careful with asking for a new badge. However, like I said, I would prefer a badge that represents our history, which the board has got. However, I'm gonna have to calm down now because I'm starting a run.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that there. So that's all the time we've got this week. We will be back next week where we will just dissect the Brighton game. Look forward to the Arsenal FA Cup game and the close of the transfer window, which I believe is coming up either next week or
I think it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday. So any business that West Ham needs to do or hasn't done yet. So it's a goodbye from me.
A goodbye from me, and an apology to your mother for insulting Mark Noble in something that I can't remember.
Good night, guys.